the oldest rivalry in the book. Not actually the oldest rivalry, but the most intense rivalry, I think, in all of Brood War history. Flash and Jaedong, there was that year in 2011, 2010, 2011, where both players were just at the absolute god tier. They were far and away the best players, far past anyone else on the entire Earth. But Flash was just a little bit better, and it showed every single time they met. Flash ended up to just completely wrecking Jaedong overall in terms of statistics. But still, it's a good match to watch. These days, in the post-Kespa era, it's very Flash favored because as much as I like Jaedong, he doesn't quite have the sort of brilliant mind play that he used to have. He doesn't have the mechanics that make his opponents completely tremble. And Flash, on the other hand, is just kind of prepared for everything. I wouldn't say that he's still. Wouldn't say that he's anywhere near 2011 level because I don't think. I'm not sure if anybody will actually ever reach that level again because it was insane. But Flash is still very good right now. Just always prepared for what his opponent's going to throw at him. Always knows how to respond to whatever sort of pressure he's put under. So, as a standard, ZVT is going to be a very boring opening. It's just going to be the most standard of all the openings. 12 hatch for the Zerg player with the 12 scout. Meanwhile, Terran is probably going to be going for a gasless fast expand. We won't know until Jaedong sees, though, so we'll just wait for that to go. By the way, guys, just let me know, how do you guys feel about watching first-person VOD casts versus overview casts? I think there's merits to both, but one of the things that I really enjoy about watching first-person VODs is you can see the individual mechanics of the players and see how they do particular things, what sort of things they're paying attention to. And I feel like in the long term, it's really good for you to study and watch because it improves your own play. But Jaedong is actually going to be able to scout out Flash immediately down in the bottom right-hand corner. Flash the same, he managed to scout Jaedong on the first try as well. No gas for Flash as expected. So Jaedong is just going to send that drone back home. There's nothing else for him to really scout, so the drone gets more value out of just coming home and beginning to mine. I love the gameplay that the little mine games that Jaedong always does, where he is very big into hitting these SCVs early on with his drones so that he can start chipping down the HP. This is very important for once you get Lings out, because if you can hit the SCV, 2 or 3 times with a drone, it makes it significantly easier to clean up with the Lings later on. It takes, 1 or 2 less hits from the Lings to actually kill the SCV, and that's a big deal. It makes it a lot easier to clean them up. You can hide tech, you can prevent the Terran from getting information on your lair as well. So it's cool stuff. I love the way that Jaedong always prioritizes that. That's one of the few things in this matchup that I think he does better than anyone else in the entire world. So Jaedong actually going to send his overlords just to the center of the map positions. Top one may try to circle down and get behind the mineral line, but it is a little bit risky to do, especially if you're chasing down this SCV in your main with the Lings, because if Terran decides to play even a little bit aggressively with those first 2 to 3 Marines, they can just walk over to that ramp and snipe the Overlord as it's moving out across. Overlord sniping has become less common these days just because of how dangerous it can be if your Marines get caught out of position and Lings just start running into your natural. But at the same time, occasionally we have seen that from players like Flash, and it can have a pretty huge effect on your opponent. Are going to be having the lair first for Jaedong, so probably going into that Mutalist play. Jaedong's always been the Mutalist player. I don't think I've ever really seen him play a whole lot of Lurker mid-games in ZVT. It's just not his style. He prefers the Mutalist. He prefers how much damage he can do with the Mutalist and how fluid they can be in dealing with certain things. So SCV cleared up, and now Jaedong is just trying to get an idea of what's around the map, see if there's any sort of a Marine push coming across. That's always the scary thing if you take a long time to kill that SCV. You don't really know if 5 to 7 Marines are walking across the map to kill your mineral line. So you just have to make sure that you're paying attention, getting information as soon as possible. If you can't kill that SCV very quickly, just go ahead and build a blind sunken. It's better to be safe than sorry. That is quite a bit of Marines though, so I think there's a chance that this might actually be a double Rax opening for Flash. But it would be a little bit unusual for Flash. Wow, Flash actually making a bunker. Flash never makes a bunker, so you know that Flash is he's responding to something that he's seen Jaedong do a lot, which may be like really heavy counterattacks in the mid game. He's just gonna go ahead and actually get that bunker really early. So cool stuff from Flash. Makes me interested to know what Jaedong has done to actually make his opponent so afraid of him. And he spread out all of his Lings to just see if there were any SCVs out on the map. And right now he's just going to be waiting it out until the first push actually comes across the map. Looks like it is probably that +1 5 racks, because Flash still hasn't moved out on the map as far as I can tell. Maybe he snuck by one of Jaedong's Lings, but it looked like they had very good coverage throughout all the maps. So probably going to be the +1 5 racks, and that means that Jaedong really can't go for a mega early third. It means he's probably going to have to rely a little bit more heavily on getting lurkers out pretty early and countering the Marines that way. What is Flash up to? This is pretty interesting. I wonder if a drop is going to be incoming pretty soon. If some sort of weird drop play, but it's surprising to see Flash play so conservatively at this point in time. The Mules are actually going to be hatched by the time that Flash moves is out, so Flash is playing very safe and conservatively. Something Jaedong did in the past must have made him very reluctant to actually push out and be very aggressive against his opponent. Here comes a couple more sunken colonies as well as the first Mutalisk, so Jaedong gearing up now to deal with what his opponent is going to throw at him. He's sending that drone up there to the third base in the top right hand corner so he can go ahead and build that, but I don't think he's actually going to be able to secure it until he has until he has the actual lurkers out on the map. For now, he's just trying to keep track of Flash's army, see where it is. You saw, as soon as he saw the army go back to the base, he immediately just canceled his sunkens back at home. It's just a nice little way to save a little bit of money. Doing a good job with this harass so far, being able to kill a lot of units at absolute max range. That's the Jaedong micro we know and love. And he's actually going to be making some extra Lings. That's a bit surprising to see. Usually you rush the Hydralisks afterwards to make sure you get the lurkers up on time. But maybe he's realizing now that he forgot to make the Hydralisks and he's not going to have lurkers to defend his third base. Not sure. For whatever reason, he's going to have to play very cleverly in the next couple minutes. Losing 2 Mutalisks, though, that's not what you want to have happen. He wants to place his army in between the Terran army, like we saw Effort do in the game before. If he does that, he's going to be in pretty good shape to take this game shortly. He's actually going to go for the heavy counterattack here into the main and kill off all these Marines, get on top of this barracks. This is almost certainly going to pull Flash back, but even if Flash sends a couple of units up to that top right, he can deal the damage he needs to kill off that third. Let's see if he's as smart as Mind has been recently. So lots of damage done in the main. I wouldn't say that like it was a game-changing move for Jaedong, but it allowed him to buy enough time to get that third base up. And hopefully he has a lurker coming out soon, because I'm a little bit worried right now. Flash is already moving out again, and he did send a couple of units, so this is one of those things. You can't just do this and just not have any defense up that top right-hand base, because your opponent can always just split off a couple of Marines. Even just like 5 or 6 Marines will straight up kill that. And now with that third base forfeit, then Jaedong's going to be in some trouble. Doesn't have that third base up. He's going to be going for the hive now. And I have a creeping suspicion that I actually cast this on stream the other day. I cast somebody watching Jaedong play. In any case, this game does seem very familiar. I mean, it's like the basic, you know, TVZ, right? Like, Zerg opens up with Mutiling Lurker, loses the third base, slowly dies to Terran. That's pretty much the standard ZBT these days. Luckily, he is going to be able to get some Lurkers on that high ground by the time he gets that third base up and running again, but he's reinvesting in a lot of Mutalisk, and I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best move for him to do at this point in time, because he's not really in a position to actually deal with any sort of pushes that come in, and big push coming into the natural. Can Jaedong actually defend it? It's a little bit questionable by Flash. He's going to try to break these Sunkens, but poor splits from Jaedong. Actually, all of his lanes get split up, and this is going to be a tough hold. He does have the Lurkers now, so he's going to be able to hold this for now, but behind this, Flash is probably going into that SK Terran style, probably going to be getting the double dropship coming up pretty soon, and Jaedong is losing all of these Mutalisks after rebuilding them, and this is just, it's painful to watch. He's just struggling to keep his head above water, and meanwhile Flash doesn't even mind that he lost this entire force. He has all the pressure in the world up. He broke the front of the base, killed a lot of lings, and is forcing Jaedong to spend more and more Lara to build more lings, spend more gas to build more Lurkers, more Mutalisks if he wants. And in the meantime, a third base still hasn't even actually gone down yet. So Flash is way ahead at this point. Once the science vessels come in, as well as dropships, Jaedong could be in some really serious trouble. Surprisingly, not any dropship defense for Jaedong back at home. He's going to try to go for this attack with the Lurkers. Can he actually do it? A lot of Marines going down, but that bunker is still there. It's so difficult to actually break that. And Jaedong's just going to try to meticulously push forward and break his opponents. Wow, even more Mutalisks. So this is pretty much an all-in. He even cancels the third base. This is 100% an all-in. He's going to try to win right now off the back of just having a lot of units. But one of the Lurkers, two of the Lurkers snipes, a lot of Marine medic going down, so that's not the greatest thing in the world, but with the Lurker pressure being off Flash's front, he's in a much better spot than he was a moment ago. And Jaedong is just, he's just believing in this this one Defiler that's going to Dark Swarm and maybe win the game, but honestly, I'm not sure if it will. He's already canceled the third base. This is very much an all-in. He's got nothing left after this. He's trying to retake a third now after canceling. It's so strange. I don't know what Jaedong is doing, but maybe just he wanted to go for the all-in, couldn't actually do it, and now this should be the end of the game. He's going to lose all the Mutalisks, all of his lings coming up pretty soon. He does a good job of actually killing all of this. A bit of a sloppy engage there from Flash, but I think Flash was just trying to get rid of the Lurkers because he feels like once the Lurker's gone, he's going to be able to deal with this. Very nice play to get the Defiler over here. He's going to be able to sort of contain the turn off of just this one Lurker, but eventually when enough Firebats get in there, it won't even matter because Firebats can actually kill Lurkers under Swarm. And here comes the push. 2 Firebats. They should be able to clean that up very nicely. Jaedong just coming in here for one last ditch attempt with the Zerglings and the Mutalisks. Can he actually break it? Doesn't look like he can. Flash just has a little bit too much. And the beautifully placed Firebat there, he's going to be able to break that. Jaedong is not going to give up, though. He's going to keep trying, but with all these down, that's the GG. Well played by Flash, just completely dismantling Jaedong.